my name's Vicky. I'm a Paint for Fun teacher and I'm also a registered art therapist. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a mandala. A mandala is a really simple meditative drawing technique and it's also good for mindfulness. I'll be using some acrylics today, and what you'll need is a canvas, some paint, some water and a paintbrush, but if you don't have that you can just use paper and a pencil. So before we begin, if you have a think about an intention for what you want when you do this painting, I think I'm going to go with calm. So I'll be thinking about calm when I paint this. So have a think about what your intention. Okay, so for this painting, I'm going to think about calmness, and that's what I'm going into doing this mandala. So if you have a little think as well about the intention you want for the painting, and think about a colour that might come to mind. When I think about calmness, I think about maybe the colour blue. So I'm just going to get the blue out, and what I'm going to do is just cover the canvas. And that's just a really easy way to get started. So I've got the big paintbrush and some blue. Oh, I'm a little bit colourblind, so I don't know if this is green or blue, but I'm going to say that it's blue. It definitely looks green. That's okay. I'm going to mix in a little bit of this ultramarine. You can use whatever colour you like, and that's the good thing about this. It doesn't have to look like mine. It can be whatever you want, and you can mix your colours. So while that's drying, we can start to look at what patterns we can use for the mandala. So you can make this mandala as simple or as technical as you want. There's no right or wrong. It can be whatever you want. I'll just show you some examples of what patterns we could use. So there's lots of different things you could do. Show you. Sometimes before you start it's good to just do these patterns so that when you start doing your mandala you don't get stuck and think, I don't know what to do next. You can have a little guide. So just show you an example. You can have little circles as a pattern. Little waves, triangles. You can even do lines. There's no right or wrong here. These little leaves. A mandala really is just a circle shape. So it's however you want to decorate the circles. And it will end up going around like that. So, needs a little bit longer to dry, so I'll just talk to you a little bit about mandalas. One of the reasons that mandalas are so therapeutic and people benefit from them is because of these patterns. So our brain, if we don't know what's coming next, can get a little bit stressed out. But when we do these patterns, because we know what's coming next, it actually calms our body down and helps us regulate our nervous system. When you've given your canvas some time to dry, this is when we're going to draw the guides of the circles down for the mandalas. So you can use a compass. If you don't have a compass, you can just draw the circles in, or you can use stuff from around your house. So we have some saucepan lids, and you can just put it onto your canvas and draw around it. You'll need a pencil and then you just, when you have the colour on the back of your canvas, I've mixed mine a little bit so it's a blue or green, it doesn't have to be a block colour. You find the middle point of where your mandala is going to be. So I'm going to go right in the middle And I'm starting off with a pencil because with paint it can get a little bit messy, and with pencil you can do it lightly and it doesn't have to be too perfect, but you have a guide. So got the dot, and then I'm just going to have the circles coming out of that. You won't be able to see it very clearly now, but it will start to come to life. The great thing about mandalas is each one's unique, and when you look at them properly, like drawn ones, they're unique because they aren't actually perfect. You know, everyone makes little what's Bob Ross say? Happy accidents. They all look a bit different, and that's what's so fun about them. You can get lost in doing the detail. So I'm just drawing smaller circles that then get bigger. So I've used the saucepan as a guide, and then just drawing smaller circles going in. And when the circles are in, that's when we can start to add the pattern. So, you might be able to see some of the lines coming in. What's nice about this type of mandala as well is that it's got different techniques. We've used the paint, we've got the big paint strokes, we've used the pencil and been a bit free with the big circles, and now we can go in and make some more detail. So I've got my little guide here of the patterns, and you can just get started. So now I'll be using a marker pen, and that will show up nicely on the paint. And I'm just going to start in the middle and then go outward. So we've got the circle in the middle, and you might be able to see the lines a bit better now. And I'm just going to outline the other circle. And so for this one, I'm just going to do lines that meet in the centre. So the great thing about this is you can just concentrate on one line at a time. Sometimes people get a bit overwhelmed with paintings because, like with mandalas, they're so beautiful and sometimes they're so detailed and look so complicated, but when you break it down and actually just start from one little dot and it gets bigger and bigger, it's a less confronting artwork to start with, but it has amazing results. So now I've done that line, I think I'm going to go in with this one. So I'm using the lines as a guide, so I'll just stay in each line at a time. So I'm going to just do these petals that come out. Quite happy with that. And you don't just have to do lines, like outline the line, you can just use it as a guide for your pattern. So now I have the petals, I'm going to do some other petals out of it and kind of combine it into one. So out of one petal, and then the point be in the middle, bring it back down. So the great thing about this is if your patterns don't match up, so I guess I've made a bit of a mistake here, but the thing is you can use that to build on the mandala and it creates more of a beautiful pattern. So I was doing a petal over two, but now I'm going to combine it so we get this cool effect. It's already building up a little bit. So we've started off small, and as you can see, it's starting to get bigger. Now I'm adding in some lines, still following the circle of the guide. So I'm going to do some circles now. The fun thing about this is, if you've got a short attention span as well, it always changes. It's always something new with each line. Go with some line shapes. Sometimes I like doing this as well because it's so much detail. If the lines don't match up or you're not happy with something, you can just go over it and make it part of the pattern and repeat it. So you don't need to stress too much if you don't like one element. If you change it, you can just keep going on. The good thing about using ink as well when you've done your paint is it doesn't really smudge. You can just draw on it, whereas if you were using paint to do the mandala, it might smudge a bit. I feel like there's some things missing here, so I'm going to add some more detail. Make that circle again. So I made a mistake here, but I'm just going to keep it going around and it looks part of the pattern. I'll add some more, some of them are different sizes. Okay. So I think I'm going to go in with some more circle shapes. So I'm going to add some more detail in the middle because we've got quite a good base, and then this is where we can go in and add some more layers. So I'm just going to go into the big blank spots and put some more detail. Each time I go into a layer, I'm just making a mark and repeating it. So for this layer, it's quite blank, so I'm going to add a line. No, add an arch, and then just keep it going round. Add some more circles in. So it looks like it's complicated now, but all it is yeah, just one little mark at a time that's been repeated over and over again. So we've got space for another layer. We're going with this shape. Just finish it off. This side is a little bit different to that one. So, like before, if you see something you're not too keen on, this is where you can just change it and repeat the pattern. So I'm going to make a bigger arch here, and then a smaller arch in there, so it evens out. I think it's almost done, so I'm just going to go in and add some circles. When you do yours, it doesn't have to look exactly like this. You can go with whatever patterns you like. It could be all triangles or circles or lines or whatever is best for you. Maybe I'll add a little bit more to these big ones around the edge. I'm just going to add a dot in the middle. That's the thing with mandalas, it's hard to know when to finish because you can just keep going forever. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how art and mandalas can be beneficial for us physically and psychologically. So most of the time we're in the left part of our brain. This is the logical part of the brain where we're thinking about things, and we can think about the past, or our thoughts can wander to the future, and we can get a bit stressed out. On the right side of our brain, this is where we have imagery, our emotions, and the physical reactions to our emotions. When we make art, we actually combine the two parts of our brain, and it helps us regulate our nervous system. It combines the two parts, and we start to go into harmony with our body and our mind. That's why people can find this so therapeutic, because we're not thinking about the past or the future. We're grounded in the moment, and we're just concentrated on the act of making art. So just focusing on the patterns and the colours that we want to use, rather than worrying about something in the past or the future. So that's why it's a good mindfulness technique. And when we start to, say we're feeling stressed and we're painting, we're going into the right part of our brain, and the act of using a controlled material and doing a repetition helps our brain feel safe. When we're feeling anxious, our sympathetic nervous system kicks in. So that's when we start getting cortisol and the stress hormones. And when we start making art, it tells our parasympathetic nervous system to start working, and that's what reduces the stress hormones. It can help us think clearly. It can help us when we have a reduction in the stress hormone. So when we're making art and we're feeling in control of our environment and what we're making, we start to calm down. And the more we do that, the more we feel regulated in our body. And that's when people start to notice that they're sleeping better, that their blood pressure reduces, that they're feeling less anxious and fidgety. So even just making a mandala for 5 minutes a day can really give people the moment to sit down and calm down and feel grounded in their body again.